Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in. I hope your 2025 is going well so far. I'll give everybody a moment to get in. I see a lot of you are filtering in. Hello, Ash, Mary, Roy, Roberta. Welcome, welcome, Christina. And if someone could just put in the comments that you can hear and see me okay, that would be fantastic. Welcome, Lee and Debbie. We have a lot to cover today. It is not going to be just politics because 2025 obviously is going to encompass so much more than that. Like any other year, I think it's going to be a very interesting year. Thank you, everyone. Great. You can hear and see me. Beautiful. Perfect. Hi, Vegan Aries. Okay. Yes, BB up. Someone said horizontal, nice. Yes. So for me to, and every other YouTuber, to go in landscape mode instead of portrait, you do have to use a third party like StreamYard. And yeah, why YouTube thinks everybody wants this when we go live, I do not know. So I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you so much for joining me on a Tuesday night. And members, I just want to remind you to check the community tab. We have a lot of goodies coming up, so keep that in mind. Lots of lives with all of you. And if this is going to be the year that you learn mediumship, animal communication, how to meditate, how to manifest, there's 24 courses, check out membership. There's about 24 courses in there. Plus we do all the lives and whatnot. And if you do want a reading, DianeAquarius.com. I have been working 3 and 4 days a week doing readings. I've been doing readings today. I was doing them yesterday. I'll do them tomorrow to try to get as many people in for the new year as possible. But at some point, I am going to scale back on the readings. You know, you can't do this forever. There's other projects I want to do because I am still working actively right now, creating my Oracle deck, my book for star seeds, and the course for star seeds, as well as the channeling course. So, all right, everybody, let's begin. I do want to say, if you are new to my channel, welcome, but I do want to prepare you that I am left-leaning. So if you are a big fan of 45, you may not feel comfortable here. And I'm trying to be fair to everyone. So this is a left-leaning channel, just to prepare you if you don't know, if you stumbled upon this somehow. With that said, I do think we have a lot in store. And I also want to remind you that so far, everything that I have been predicting about the contest has been happening. Remember, I said as Democrats, we would not like the election night. We would not like the certification day. Things look kind of wonky around Inauguration Day. So what I will say is I am going to keep saying what I have been saying. And that is, if you know me and you've been watching my channel, you know my card for the female candidate, Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands won the contest. End of story. Now, how that manifests, that's what we need to see. We jumped timelines November 1st. That was apparent. And we are going to have like another shift in February, and then we settle in May. So keep that in mind. So the predictions that I am doing are the ones that I think are not going to matter to the timeline shifts. If I start to get into, well, I think this is going to happen on Inauguration Day or right before, it's not going to work. Okay, we're not in a timeline where that's going to work. So I'm going to try to make predictions that is not going to matter what timeline we settle into in terms of politics. Now, oddly enough, if you see me looking down, looking at my iPad, I have all the predictions written in front of me. I was going to say Justin Trudeau would be stepping down in the first part of this year. That, as you know, has happened. So I think you're going to see a lot of shifts and a lot of changes this year. So 2025, I'm going to call it the year of RE, R-E. a year of refusal. We're going to be refusing to do things the way that they have always been done that doesn't work. A year of revolution. And I think not just for the US, but for every country, we're going to see a lot of people, rising up against their governments because it's not working. And that does include the US. No matter what happens in terms of our presidential situation in the US, we are going to have a revolution, no matter what. Okay? Because neither side is happy. Nobody's happy. The government is no longer working. And when is the last time the government has actually worked for anybody? It really hasn't. And so I think people are sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of how our healthcare is going. There's lots of people that's upset with education. I mean, really pick a topic and you're going to see that there's a lot of people that it doesn't work for. They're upset. It's going to change things. Reevaluate, revise, rethink, review, renew. So lots of changes. And so let's see. I talked about that. I will touch very quickly on the FOG. If you haven't noticed, if you haven't looked outside your window and noticed, yes, it's a little odd, right? Because I've talked about the other, our friends in the skies. And I do think that it's us that's in the skies. I will be really clear about that. It is our government. And it is because they know we're going to revolt. And it is a way of monitoring us and whatnot. If it was an enemy, if it was some stranger, foreigner up there of some sort, we would have shot them down. So it's us. But it is us in a way to keep us under control. So that FOG that everybody has kind of been seeing around the world, unfortunately, some people are getting sick from it. I think that's an unfortunate side effect. I don't think it's serious. I don't think it's deadly. But I do think it helps to keep people calm. I do think it serves a higher purpose. And I think it's probably going to be the first time that we're starting to realize, whoa, they are manipulating the weather. They being various governments, that we do indeed have that technology. That's not really brand new technology. I mean, we've had that for some time, but now it's becoming more apparent. Let's see. My mantra for this year is observe, don't absorb. So keep yourself educated, observe what's going around, what's happening. Watch the news for a few minutes, but I mean, let's face it, the news has stopped showing anything that we care about, which leads to my prediction of the downfall of cable TV, right? I mean, so many people only had cable TV to watch the news. There's no point in watching it, and none of us are getting the news that way. I mean, what news are they showing? I mean, how many times can we see that a local child has a lemonade stand, right? I mean, governments are crashing and falling, and they're showing these absolute fluff pieces. Okay. So observe, be aware. Okay. But don't absorb. Don't suck it all in. You don't need to, because here's the thing. So in 2024, I did over 2,000 private readings for people. The majority of people are going to have amazing years, despite what's going on with governments and politics and the economy and this and that. We're still going to have good times. We're going to be buying our first houses, having children, getting raises, promotions, starting businesses, traveling, living a fantastic life. Okay. So don't give into the hype and the fear. Okay. Don't give into that fear mongering. And all the YouTubers that keep dragging out that goalpost of when something's going to happen to get you to tune in, because some of them are as bad as the actual news now, right? So see what resonates with you, because another prediction I have for 2025 is people start to become very in tune, very intuitive, some outright psychic. And you're going to, I think, be able to discern a lot of truth from reality. And we're going to be asked to discern truth from reality a lot this year. There's going to be a lot of things that we see that don't make sense. This is a 9-year, okay? So a 9-year means the end of something, right? An ending, a rebirth, right? Death and rebirth. So what are we birthing? What do we want to create? What do you want to create in your personal life? And what new things are we going to be ushering in, right? As, say, you know, governments collapse, the way we do things with our economy collapses. Well, that leaves a beautiful new way for the future. We're still ascending. We're still going to fourth density. I have every belief in the world. And, you know, the number 9 is associated with humanitarianism, idealism, creativity, intuition, mystical things, which I love. And interestingly enough, that pairs very well with the Chinese zodiac. This we're going into in a couple of weeks. Not just the year of the snake, but they actually put like an element with each of those. So this is the wood snake. And the wood snake is very similar to a 9-year also, where you have a mystical quality, you have intuition, you know, it's a time for rebirth, shedding the old. So there's like this whole continuity with that, please. And also too, please let me remind you, if you haven't, please hit the thumbs up. You have no idea how much it helps the algorithm. It's a free way that you can support my channel. Leave a comment, you know, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out membership, check out my website. So as you know, Pluto moved into my sign in November, right? Pluto is now in Aquarius. And then you pair that with other astrology, not just are we going into air, but fire. And so things are going to be rapidly happening this year. So you know how up until this point, say like you hear, okay, they're working on a cure for this type of cancer. And then 20 years later, you get an update. Now we start getting things more in a real time. There's like an acceleration of the timeline, okay? And so I actually think that's really, really nice. I also think that we are going to see the breakdown here in the US and maybe in other places too. I don't know. I am not an expert in every government's way of running. But what I will say is in the US, we are going to see the breakdown of having a two-party system. And I think for so many people, they've been disillusioned. The parties have not acted the way that they had hoped that they would on both sides. And I think you're going to see people running more as individuals in the future. Now, does that mean the next president, you know, won't be a Democrat or Republican? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying 2025 starts the breaking down process where people are saying, I've been, you know, with this party, either one, my entire life, but I don't know if that really works for me. And the thing is, we're narrowed down to these two options, right? We don't have a third option. And that's going to change. Okay, so the old ways of doing things are going. And like I said, a civil war, no matter what, no matter which way we go, okay? Because people are unhappy. Now the question becomes, what does a civil war look like in 2025? We don't know, right? What does it look like in America? We don't know. And this is something that we're going to be witnessing in real time. People are upset and they're ready for change and they're going to get that change. You know, one of my fears is that the information about the contest doesn't come out before Inauguration Day. Things go into motion. And then the information comes out because let's remember, and you guys can look back at my live that I did where I talked about this. How did we have a Jan 6th without a December 17th? Do your research. It didn't happen. What was Congress even voting on? I don't know. That's not me being psychic. I have actually talked to a political science professor on this. Yeah, The votes didn't, because each state, right, is supposed to go and vote on December 17th and put it into the National Archives. We know that that did not happen. So what even happened on Jan 6th? I have no idea. That makes no sense to me. So you're going to see all these strange things happening. It's going to get challenged left and right. And I don't think you have to be psychic for that, but we just know that things that should have happened aren't happening, and things that shouldn't even be a consideration are now like playing out in front of us. It's very bizarre. 45 is going to have more legal issues, which leads to more legal issues. That is never going to end. Please remember, I don't know if I'm the only one that's ever said this, or if I'm just one of few that have said this. I've never seen him going to jail. I don't think that that is part of his karma for this incarnation. I think it'd be very satisfying to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen. The closest I've ever been able to see is a possible house arrest. Logistically, I don't think you can really put a president in jail. I just don't think that's going to happen. And also too, please understand, because I always get comments, after these things. Actually, whenever I do this every year now, I always get like interesting comments. I get either you're saying the exact opposite of insert YouTuber's name, or you're saying the same as YouTuber's name. I don't watch other YouTubers because what good would that do me? Or they think it's my opinion. And it's like, no, like I've spent time in meditation. I have pulled cards. I have done channeling sessions. I've spent so much time to give this to you. Okay. So please keep that in mind. Tulsi Gabbard, not going away. She is just that gift that keeps on giving. I don't know what it will take to get rid of this woman, but she's going to stick around. And I think her political ambitions are going to ramp up. So if she ran for president or something, like a higher office, that would not shock me at all. We haven't seen the fallout so far of the Jeffrey E. files that all came out. Get ready. That's going to be coming out. Okay. Likewise, and this one I want you to brace yourself a little bit for, is the P. Diddy one. Okay. Because do you remember, those of you that have followed me a long time, I said a very long time ago, more than a year ago. And oh God, I actually have someone saying you've heard that from another reader. That's what I mean. Whenever I do these, I either get someone else said that, or no one's saying that. Yes, I don't know what to do with those comments. What do I say? I don't know. But if you remember, well over a year ago, I said, you're going to see people getting exposed in the coming years that you like. People that you see their movies, you buy their albums, you read their books, you watch their TV shows, you've been to their concerts, you buy their clothes, their merchandise, whatever. We're moving into that timeline now. Okay. So keep that in mind. You guys, I think, are not going to like the whole P. Diddy thing when that comes out. The UK. I am concerned about the UK's economic issues. Okay. I do. I see a couple of things for the UK. One, I do see a recession type energy. I do. I think their economy is going to be tough. I also think that Brexit is going to be revisited in the sense of undoing, amending it, changing it, altering it, that sort of thing. Okay. So keep that in mind. The other thing is, I am concerned about King Charles's health. And now, as you know, I don't do death predictions, but I can easily see him stepping down. Okay. And Prince William stepping up. And I always get asked, do I see William and Harry having some sort of reconciliation? My answer is still the same. It will happen, unfortunately, after the passing of their dad. And once again, I don't know much about the royal family. I don't have a dog in that fight. I know some people want me to love them, hate them, whatever. I just don't either. But that's what I'm seeing. Sorry, trying to get to the next one. There we go. Okay. I think we're going to see a lot of political extremes as we're going into fourth density, right? Because fourth density, we're going up to our heart chakra. So third density, solar plexus chakra, time of duality, ego, me against you, us against them, black and white, duality. And now we're moving into unity. So whenever you're wondering what way is something going to ultimately go, it's going to be in a unified manner. Keep that in mind, okay? So you're going to see more political extremes because people aren't happy because there's no unity, and then they'll break down those systems into one that is more unified. Remember, the whole illusion of Democrats and Republicans has been created to keep us from looking at the same enemy. We have the same enemy. We actually do. And it's starting to dawn on a lot of people. And I think this is how we actually just break down the parties. And, I don't know. I'm not really necessarily seeing a third party per se, as just individuals is more of what I'm seeing. But it's that 1% that's controlling everything, that controls our prices, that controls our quality of life, that controls, our environment, our water, our air. We all have the same enemy. And people are going to continue to wake up to that. We're moving away from disillusionment. We're all the same, right? You have to remember, I teach the law of one. You can read the law of one, for free online. And that means we are all united. We all come from the same creator. We don't have, I didn't come from, it's not like saying Democrats came from one God and Republicans came from another. No, we're all brothers and sisters. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I wanted to bring this up, and some of this may resonate with some of you, depending upon where you are in your spirituality. And that's going to have to do with, for those of you that follow Dolores Cannon, the two earths, they kind of split, and she did that drawing. And I wish she never did the drawing, had that drawing done, because it's not literally two earths that we get. It's one. But start to think about in your life, how many of you are not seeing people that are of this really negative, dark, low vibration. You know that they're there. They're there. They could be in your family. You could have them as coworkers. But you're no longer going out for lunch with them. You're not chit-chatting. You're not texting. You're not really interacting. They're there. They're not invisible. But in a way, they are. There's a separation. And so the separation isn't literal. It's not like, say, people that are not in service to others somehow disappear and go onto another planet. No, but we start to notice them less and less because we're interacting with them less and less. And so I do see that happening. And unfortunately with that, that means you're going to see some separation with families and friends. I can tell you from doing over 2,000 readings in this past year, that like no other time in history have I ever seen people actually saying, you know what, this family member, this friend, I'm no longer interacting with. I'm choosing my own happiness. I can't fix them. I can't change them. And they're purging and detoxing all these negative people. So I hope that that makes sense. And I have a feeling that a lot of you are experiencing this already. Let me take a sip. I have my drink here. Okay. Ukraine and Russia. I do think that there is going to be a resolution to that. With that said, I don't know if it's the resolution that we really want. I think the resolution that we want is Ukraine is just, living their best life. Everything's great, blah, blah, blah. I think there's going to have to be a concession on their part to end this. And to me, that concession will be giving up some territory, but it'll mean peace. And so I think they're going to take it. My other prediction with that is when they do announce the death toll from, this Ukrainian-Russian war, people are going to lose it because the numbers are going to be so much higher than what we're thinking. Okay. So kind of like brace yourself for that, because to me, that looks like a really sad moment when we find that out. Venezuela is going to continue to have problems. I don't see a change with Venezuela. When I looked at that, that seems to be the same. Now, with all this air energy, with Pluto and Aquarius, we're going to see a few things happen that we haven't seen happen before. One, we're going to see a lot with things in the air, and in every sense of the word. I think you're going to see more regulations with planes. I think there's going to be a major plane crash that we all talk about. I think we're going to see advancements with planes. I also think we are going to start getting into more of the flying cars. As you probably know, so like after we dropped the bombs, World War II, we had Area 51. I think it's pretty obvious at this point, because I think now we're up to Area 54, that we got a lot of information, right? Now, whether you believe that it's from extraterrestrials or not, well, actually, here's the thing. If you don't believe in extraterrestrials, timelines, consciousness, all that, you're going to be in for a very, very weird year, okay? That's a prediction I will bet money on. But so we got all this anti-gravity information from the extraterrestrials, in that time frame. And then if you noticed, once we perfected it in the 50s, our government classified all that information. And that's why when you look at like movies, cartoons, comic books, all that stuff from the 50s, it's all anti-gravity stuff, right? And then it just went away. And so that's coming back. So we're going to see a lot with anti-gravity technology. Now with AI, we're going to see a lot. Yes, it's going to be a darker side, but there's also going to be a lot of pluses, and I'm predicting a lot of weirdness. So one of the things that might be a little darker, but it's temporary, is as AI grows, it's going to cause unrest because of the loss of jobs. Okay. I think a lot of, it's already happening. The Chinese food restaurant I go to literally has a robot. So, I think a lot of jobs are going to be replaced with robots. I would be surprised if you see a lot of, like, say, waitresses, cashiers. And Japan it looks like they have perfected robots to do a lot of the nursing work. So, plus, housekeeping. And so we're going to see AI kind of take over a lot of that stuff. Now, the reason that I say the unrest is going to be temporary is because, remember, with fourth density, that notion that we need money goes away. And I know some of you are like, or you're saying, Diane, you're crazy. But you have to remember, gold only has, or silver or anything else, only has the value that man gives it. And if any of you can actually take me and show me that the gold is there, at Fort Knox, backing that dollar. I will be impressed. I will eat my words. But you know what? There's no pictures. There's no documentation. There's nothing. There is no gold. And we know that there isn't because we see it in real time. Whenever there's a war or with the pandemic, they were able to just easily print money, right? They print money when they want to. And so we know that there's nothing backing it, like the cat's out of the bag. And so we're going to be living in that reality, I think. Now, here's the one that I'm thinking is weird. It's not going to fully come into fruition in 2025, but you're going to start to see the beginnings of it. And that has to do with robots. Now, I don't think it's surprising that we're going to have robots be more of a part of our life, but humans can be a little unusual, dare I say, weird. And I think you're going to, now once again, this is in 2025 that I see this actually happening, but it starts to happen. We start to see the beginnings of people marrying robots. How can I say this delicately? Robots taking over certain roles, certain types of workers, won't have that type of job anymore. Give you a hint, it's illegal in most states. I think, I always think like Las Vegas is kind of known for that, but there will be centers that people go to, I guess like a brothel of sense, where it's robotic in nature. And so I think that is exactly where we're heading towards. But that's also going to inspire a lot of regulation. What's right? What's wrong? How do we do this? How do we go about navigating it? Interesting stuff. But I mean, we always knew that we was heading there anyways, right? I mean, we didn't think like we was going to just never evolve, right? We're going to continue to see more reverse technology from extraterrestrials. That is going to continue. And as we look up in our night sky, we're going to see proof of it. My favorite, one, because as you guys know, like for like a good month, I had them parked over my house, going to sleep with these things over my house. My favorite though, and my husband got a great picture of this. And by the way, members, my guides told me, don't put up the videos. And then when I looked on YouTube, I saw nobody else had these types of videos up, which tells me YouTube took them down, because we're all seeing it. But my favorite one was the one that looked like a hot dog with a light up on. I mean, this is weird stuff, but it's just like our military playing with reverse technology. And I'm kind of like looking at your comments. Oh my God, Suscott, the robots sound better than your ex-husband. Yeah, that's the thing, right? I think there could be some actual benefits to, yeah. Okay, moving on. I do believe Pope Francis will step down this year. I don't think he's well. I do think he's having a tough time, and I think he's going to step down. I do think we're going to have more UFO sightings, and here's the thing. Trying to figure out what's UFO and what is the government's new technology will be like a hobby and a pastime for this year. I'm looking at your comments, sorry. We're going to have our own anti-gravity craft in the skies hiding UFOs. And you have to remember, and I want you to think about this. I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to have you like think about this in a way that makes sense. Our consciousness is rising to that of extraterrestrials. They've always been there, somewhere there, right? The benevolent ones, the ones that want to help us, the ones of love and light. They've always been there, but our consciousness is still third density. And you say, oh, Diane, that doesn't really make sense. I don't get it. Think of it this way. When you sit with your cat and dog and you watch TV, you're looking in that same direction, right? You're both looking in the same direction. But when you look at the TV screen, like say you're watching the news, you're understanding it at a much deeper level. You're able to see things and understand things that your cat and dog can't because they're second density. They have some awareness, but it's primitive, right? It's not the same. And likewise, also let me say, as we get better with AI, as we use robots more, we're going to start to understand consciousness more. You have to remember, the only reason that, the average human dies when they do is because the meat suit can only last so long. Because we still haven't figured out how to take the consciousness out, right? We know it's not in the brain, or because trust me, they've already done like brain transplants and weird stuff. It's not in the brain. And so we're going to understand with animals like, oh, they have a whole level of consciousness. And then we're going to start to realize, oh, wait, kind of everything has consciousness. The trees have some, now is it all the same? No, of course not. We're at different densities. But everything's going to have a certain consciousness. And I think when we go to buy something, we're going to care. Like, was this shirt made ethically? What is the vibration and the energy of this shirt? Or was it made in some sort of sweatshop where people are like broken and mistreated and, underpaid, underfed, kept in horrible conditions? You're not going to want that vibration because you're going to start to notice it and feel it. And that will become a thing. Spiritual centers. So I predicted a long time ago, if you follow me, that I sort of see the religions, and I don't know if I want to say like religions as much as I want to say individual churches or temples or synagogues. The ones that survive are going to be the ones that house the homeless, that have the food banks, the food pantries, the soup kitchens, the coat drives, the ones that are in service to others. Those will be the ones that survive. Now, with that said, people are still going to want a higher connection. People are craving it. People want that connection. Because when you don't have some kind of connection, you can't really feel where you are in the world. It feels strange, right? So I'm seeing spiritual centers. And I'll tell you, I could picture this being a fantastic business for people, where you have a center that it's just like it's always open. There'll be quiet rooms where you can meditate and have your incense. There'll be ongoing classes where, you can, open your chakras. There'll be people there that will help you connect to your angels. I'm seeing more of this new age type concept. Okay. Interesting comments, everybody. Now, more on the downside, but I don't know if you have to be psychic to make these predictions, is that in general, worldwide, we are going to see that there is a homelessness crisis. There is a housing crisis. There is a poverty crisis over the next year. It's not going to last forever, but when you're in it, it's going to feel like it's forever, right? There's going to be food insecurity. And those are going to be things that we will be addressing, re-evaluating, reviewing, and working on. I also see schools starting to change. And my guess is it could have something to do with the pandemic. Because now we've realized maybe not all children need to go to some kind of a center where it's hands-on with other people. And my prediction is going to be that, especially where we have so many children that have these introverted type issues, where they're getting overstimulated, they don't like certain patterns and textures and noises and whatnot. And I think that's going to grow because that is part of fourth density. They remember being in a beautiful utopia on the other side. The earth is harsh. And so I do think we're going to see a change with schools. And you're going to see people refusing to continue to live the same way, stuck and trapped. They're going to revolt. They're going to rebel. Okay. With the Middle East, Syria is going to continue to have issues. That is not going away. That's not going to get better. Not in 2025, I don't think. In general, one thing that I think, especially Europe, but I would suspect the US also, we're going to have a lot of refugees immigrating to other countries from the Middle East. I am not seeing peace in Gaza overall. Now, maybe they can do what they usually do, which, we have peace and it lasts, a week or something, or a month. Maybe we'll have that. But overall, no. And when I look, because as maybe some of you know, I specialize in 20-year predictions. I actually see the Middle East becoming really barren in the next 20 years because people are going to have just left. The only people that will have stayed in the Middle East, I think, when everything is said and done, are the people that either truly, for some reason, can't leave, or the people that benefit from staying there. Because no matter how many times I've reviewed this, I've done, deep meditations and channelings on it, I can't make the Middle East reach peace. I just can't. And not in the next 20 years. That I'm not saying never. There will be a point beyond that they do. But not in the next few years. Now, on the upside, I see Germany being okay despite the ADF party, right? So they have like this horrible, scary fascist party that I think doesn't get the traction that it's hoping for. I see Germany being all right. I am not overly concerned. Climate change continues with storms, fires, floodings, earthquakes. So once again, fire and air. Just keep thinking fire and air. And, I think we're going to see wildfires like we've never seen. I mean, I live in Massachusetts. We had a wildfire for a month. That is not normal. And, that's what we're heading towards. I am seeing, just as a side note, and I have been seeing a significant earthquake in the Middle East area. And I've been seeing that for quite some time for 2025. And this is actually where I put Trudeau is going away sooner than later. Well, he did. Okay. Pluto in Aquarius is going to expose the dark side of technology. And, one of the things that's going to come from that is we will be regulating like this AI generated fake news. So I think that that's going to actually be good. That's something positive. For Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, I am really concerned about hurricanes and natural disasters in the spring and fall. Like if I had to pick two, like March-ish and September-ish, I don't feel great, for them having hurricanes and just natural disasters in general. I think there's going to be a point in the spring around March and April where we feel the timeline start to speed up because it's like I said, we're going to settle into the timeline in May, I feel. That's the information that I have downloaded, that I've gotten in channeling. And so what I would say is where you're feeling like everything is happening faster and faster and faster, you may want to take time to ground yourself, meditate, be out in nature, do things you like. Don't give in to those energies that are accelerating around you. Interestingly, I got a random message in meditation, and it had to do with like marketing, ads, commercials. And I think you're going to be seeing less and less of those kinds of commercials where it's like, okay, well now for like a minute straight, we're going to sit here and watch this ad. I think you're going to see more and more of what we've already started doing, which is like product placement, like you're watching a movie and, the computer is this, the car is that, the drinking this. You're going to see that to the nth degree. That is going to like explode. And influencers organically, but not really, putting it into their stuff, like they're sipping out of this, particular tumbler, and it's made, you can see the label on it. I think you're going to see a lot of that, because I think people's patience for sitting there watching ads is going to dwindle. And part of that, I think, is that acceleration, that like feeling like we need to rush and hurry. Okay, so as you guys know, I don't really read too much on celebrities, and I wanted to kind of be careful, because I don't know, I have like no problem reading on politicians for some reason, but I try to be a little bit nicer to celebrities. I don't really follow any celebrities, but I'll tell you the few that I did get. I think Beyonce is going to have a very difficult year, and I think the reasons are quite obvious. When stuff comes out about her husband, P. Diddy, she was, I mean, that's the thing. We already know that she was there. She did 3 album launches, from his parties. So I think this is going to continue. I think she's going to have a tough year. The one that I'm kind of concerned about is Kim Kardashian. And I'll tell you why I'm concerned. It has to do with Kanye. And there is something about him I don't trust. And, as you know, or may not know, he has sort of like become her stalker. He's done some kind of like nefarious stuff to her. And even with all of her money and power, she hasn't been able to stop a lot of it. I mean, he was stalking her, and he was still able to buy the house across the street. And so I just feel like it could be something to do with the children, because they do share children. And I think you're going to hear about that. The other one too, because I know people talk a lot about Taylor Swift, and so I decided to do an actual reading on her, which I've never done before. And what I will say is, when it comes to her and actually settling down permanently with somebody, and I know she's with Travis Kelce, what I kept getting in her cards again and again and again is she loves her independence. She loves her autonomy. She loves to be with her friends, have a good time. And I'll tell you, he can stay around as long as he doesn't interfere with that. She is an independent lady, and I don't know how much she's going to want to deal with all that. A big change that I see, all those weight loss drugs that people do the injections with, that it's more of like the side effect of the diabetes medicine. I feel like that's going to be falling to the wayside as more of the side effects start to get talked about. There's something with the side effects for a lot of people, particularly like long-term side effects, things that kind of stay with people that are taking it for weight loss reasons. I wasn't getting it necessarily if you're diabetic, so I don't know, but there is something very wrong with it. And so I don't know how reliant people should be getting on these things at this point, because I could feel like they get pulled. Okay. So, Asia. Yeah, I do see a major earthquake going up the coast of Asia. So like on the outside towards the ocean. And I just kept seeing water because of it. And so I'm thinking like tsunami, earthquake, tsunami. So yeah, there is just something there. I do see the stock market and the economy in general struggling. And I think crypto is going to really have a moment. I am hesitant to say, go ahead, invest in crypto, because I don't know if it's going to be much more than a moment, or if this is long lasting. Don't know. Now, if you've watched me when 45 was in office the last time, I kept saying to you guys, if he takes out some little man, puts him in a gray suit with big eyes, and tells you this is an extraterrestrial, please do not believe him. And I think we are going to be seeing real and fake extraterrestrials. Use your discernment in that. I am, and this is probably the big prediction. It's big enough that I'm going to say if it doesn't happen in 2025, it will happen in 2026. And that is another shelter in place, a lockdown, something like that. Okay. And I feel like it actually could be for more than one reason. But one thing I do absolutely see, and I told you guys this many years ago, if we do not learn how to treat animals, we are going to keep getting zoonotic diseases, right? So all these illnesses that we have been talking about, from COVID to the bird flu, all of them, they're zoonotic in nature. And that is part of our awakening, is to understand animals have consciousness and that they should be treated a certain way. We did not get that lesson. It is coming back. But yeah, I do feel like there is going to be another stay-at-home type deal coming sooner than later. In the spring, I do see 45 having, no matter what, no matter what happens politically, I do see him having another event. I don't know if a bandage on the ear will take care of it this time. I don't know. Because I do believe we choose our exit points. So if he chooses it or not, I don't know. But I can see that there is something there coming in the next few months for him. If I had to put a time on it, I'd say March or April. Okay. Major tensions between China and the US. And I do think that will have some impact on us. I think there will be a lot of like saber rattling, threats being made. And I don't feel good about China's intentions towards Taiwan. So I do think Taiwan needs to brace themselves here. I think they're done playing. I think China's done playing, and they're going to be nasty. I don't trust them. I don't think Taiwan deserves it, but it doesn't matter what I think. Okay. It doesn't matter, So, I mean, I think as a collective, we should be sending like all of our good energy to Taiwan, because I do think China's getting ready. Like, you can feel it, right? Like, we can all feel it. They're revving up, right? I do think we're going to see some cyber attacks, particularly with banks, with money, banks, money lenders, that sort of thing. I am getting that. I do think we're going to be seeing a lot of declassified information that kind of shocks us. And I would say 2025, 2026, both years, more and more stuff just keeps coming out. And I think it's going to be a little bit shocking, because we're going to find out, wow, things aren't quite the way I maybe thought, or maybe I did suspect this, but I didn't have proof. And we will. Cures are going to get released instead of suppressed. Okay? Because first of all, we have to get rid of our healthcare system in the US to actually get cures, right? I mean, it's such big money to have sick people. I also don't see anything good for Elon. I said a while ago, I don't see him being like somebody that perseveres in American politics. I don't. But I see something with him like really not being well, getting sick. So there is something there coming up. I did mention there is a commercial plane crash coming up that we're all going to be talking about. I just kept seeing that again and again. We're also going to be talking about weather manipulation. I think that's something that we have, suspected for a long time, but I think we're already starting to see it a bit, aren't we? It's starting to become obvious. I also think scientists are going to start playing with some old DNA that they've been finding, that they have in the labs from animals that are extinct. It kind of gives me like that Jurassic Park type feel. It's like, oh, I don't know. Just because we can bring back a T-Rex doesn't mean we should. And I'm not saying necessarily like a dinosaur, but bringing back some of, my guess is they would start with like the littler, insects and types of things and aquatic things, small aquatic things. But Yeah, I think they're going to be playing with some of that DNA. Um, Lots of solar flares, but they're solar flares with DNA upgrades. I think they're good. One of the things that my guide said to me, because I asked them, I was like, why do I feel so calm after the election? I feel completely calm. And they said, well, because November 1st, we allowed a solar flare to come through. It was a DNA upgrade that provided calmness. And so I think we're going to see more and more of that. March, April, May, we start to find out truths from governments leading to revolutions, protests. So I think the spring is going to be really just like pregnant with energies, with people rising up, things changing. With that, we're going to see a rise of cults and false leaders. And I think this will be the last time that humanity deals with that. Spiritual and religion and religious delusions and illusions are going to fade away. But before they do, we're going to see some interesting characters, I think, rise. And when you think of, why do I have a thumbs up? Well, that's weird. The thumbs up totally threw me. Hey, StreamYard. Yeah, but when I think of, like, say, the MAGAs and how they got sort of disillusioned and like conned, that's going to come up. Another thing too that I've been predicting for a while privately is we are literally going to be digging deeper down into the ground. And because so far we've really only dug down as far as the dinosaurs, right? So we're the only humans. We're it for civilization, right? We have the cavemen, we have the ice age, then we have the dinosaurs, that kind of kicked us off, I guess. And we just stopped there, but we didn't. And I think that information is going to come out, and we'll see that, wow, like there were people living here, flourishing, different animals. Because once again, I see less and less things being suppressed. And so I think that's something that we're going to be talking about. I am concerned about us causing earthquakes from drilling. That was something that did come up in one of my meditation sessions. And I will finish up with, and I have no idea what this means. I don't think it's going to affect us in the US, I will say that, but an underwater volcano, which I know sounds a little weird, but it just sort of feels like it pushes up, and I don't know, like it creates land, changes land, does something with islands, makes islands. I don't know, but I think that that's something that's going to happen. And I think, because you have to remember, as we ascend, so does the planet. So the planet's going to, literally be like changing, purging, moving, doing its thing. So I hope that this was helpful. I know that was a lot. Oh my gosh, that was like an hour of predictions. But I had a lot for you. And I just wanted to share everything with you that I had. Yeah, right. That's how we got Hawaii. Exactly. I think we're kind of due for that, but we know that the planet does do that, right? It's weird, but it happens. Yeah, it's going to be a weird year, Seska. Totally agree. But at the same time, like I've said, after doing like about 2,000 personal readings, most people are going to have a fantastic year. People are going to buy their first house, go on vacation, start their own business successfully, like all this other stuff that's going to be really, really great. So that's what I'm saying. Observe, don't absorb. Watch the weirdness, end of story. Okay. So, all right, everybody, it was a pleasure doing this. And once again, please hit the like button, subscribe, check out membership. Just hit the join button if you wish. And if you do want a reading, go to DianeAquarius.com and you'll see those different kinds. All right, everybody. See you later.